We have committee hearings in Congress with the Secret Service on the assassination attempt of President Donald Trump. Yet for some reason, what seems to come up is gun control. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. With everything going on the national platform, whether it comes to the change in the Democratic presidential frontrunner to the assassination attempt of President Donald Trump, one thing that remains consistent in politics is there has been no shortage of effort to bring gun control arguments to the forefront of the table. Here to talk about that with us today, we have brought back our legislative director. He is also the host of Firing Line Radio on AM 590 The Answer. You can catch him there every Saturday at 1 p.m. That is Rick Travis. Rick, thanks for being with us today.
Always a pleasure, Kevin.
Absolutely. So I guess we can just start this with a video as if we needed proof. Jacob, why don't you go ahead and roll? This is from the Secret Service hearing on the Trump assassination attempt.
We have more than one mass shooting a day in America. They are so commonplace now that they are barely reported in the national news. We allow AR-15s to be purchased with abandon, promiscuously, all over the country. People can just go out and get an assault weapon. And the distinguished gentlelady from Michigan was right. We have a hearing when it affects the President of the United States, but on all the other days of the year, we don't have a hearing about it. And I think it is because of an honest disagreement we have about the Second Amendment. There are some people who think the Second Amendment means you've got the right to arm yourself with whatever weaponry you need to overthrow the government of the United States, and we reject that as a false interpretation of the Second Amendment and a false interpretation of the Constitution. We can ban assault weapons. We did it back in 1994. It dramatically reduced these mass shootings, and when that ban was lifted, the mass shootings went up through the roof again, and we've shown it. And so just like we're demanding real answers and real action from the Secret Service, let us demand real action and real answers from ourselves. So we've got to act on the Secret Service to protect ourselves against political violence, and we've got to act as a Congress to protect ourselves against AR-15 violence in America.
Okay, so I guess, Rick, for those who don't relish the opportunity to watch California or national politics in these committee hearings, is this something common? I mean, you have the head of the Secret Service sitting right in front of you, supposedly to be accountable for the lack of security and the Trump assassination attempt. Yet we have a member here going off on something completely different in an effort to bring to light the fact that guns are bad. Is this something that's common in these committee meetings?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the old adage, don't let a tragedy go to waste to, move whatever you want to move. This is normal. What is strikingly shocking is that the opposition, in this case, you would assume those who have more conservative pro-Second Amendment views, never call them out for doing this. And this is what is changing in the narrative. We don't have people willing to stand for the Constitution, and I find it reprehensible. I mean, you literally see the ranking member in there, Jamie Raskin, who was just on there, using this time to go off on his own viewpoints. There's several points I'd point out. One of the first is there's a difference between, quote, this mass violence kind of stuff that he's pushing narrative and assassinating a world leader and a potential, new world leader, because at this point he's former President Donald J. Trump, but, by all the polls at the time we're filming this, very likely to be the next president after we figure out who is and isn't the president currently. And so, if we look at it from that standpoint, he's trying to downplay the assassination attempt to the level of gang violence on the streets. And that was shocking to me.
Well, I guess let's unpack that statement really quick. This is a common kind of talking point from the gun control lobby and effort, this redefinition or repurposing of words. I remember growing up with the term mass killing. that always meant or was defined as an incident where 4 or more people had been killed, not counting the person carrying out the violence. That didn't necessarily pertain to firearms or anything. Then you sort of adopt this term mass shooting, which they define as basically any person who has the intent of killing somebody in public. You can walk away with 0 people injured. I would assume that the majority of these efforts fail to kill anybody in the first place. The statistics certainly show that the mass majority of these incidences just leave with people wounded. So how exactly should we take this? Is there just a plethora of definitions that we have to accept? Because they're going on here, obviously, and making claims like a mass shooting is happening once every day, when we also understand the public's view of this is much worse than the definition they're using.
So there's a lot to unpack on this, and I'm going to start at the top. First off, it does a complete disservice to the American people, these definitions, because these definitions are not rooted in accepted understanding. And secondly, they're kind of like talking in California on shifting ground. I mean, we're used to the ground moving under our feet every day, which is why when people from other parts of the world come here, like, did you feel that? Californians are like, no. And the reason is because we've been desensitized. That's exactly what the left and the media are working on, is desensitizing Americans and creating a situation where they can claim anything and never have to account for it. So let's look at, the classic definition of mass shooting was perpetrator comes in to a place with innocent people just trying to carry out their everyday life, whether that be shopping in a mall or being at a religious service, to take those 2 examples, or school, and takes numerous lives. Mass shooting. I think every American would agree that's a fair definition. That has been moved, though, to be like, oh, so gang violence, that's a mass shooting. Okay, well, wait. The way I work legally and legislatively and with law enforcement to stop an individual perpetrator or a couple of them from going into a place where people are doing their everyday stuff is very different from, oh, I have 2 warring factions of criminals going at it. Completely different set of guidelines, completely different way to handle it. But because of failed economic policies, because of failed social policies, because of failed educational policies in many parts of our country, it is much more palatable not to stand up in front of their constituents and say, yeah, I promised to fix this and I haven't. It's like LA politicians here in California who say every year from one party, we're going to fix the potholes. They've been saying that for 4 decades. They ain't fixed them yet. But yet people just vote for them. Well, this person said they're going to fix the potholes. Well, hold them accountable. You didn't do it, you're fired. And this is where we're coming back to this, by having this loose definition that allows for gang violence, allows for cartel wars, allows for all these other things to be lumped in. It does 2 main things. One, disservice to the American people because they don't know what a mass shooting really is anymore. And 2, it allows the far left to then label law-abiding gun owners as the cause of all of this. We're not the cause of illegal drugs. We're not the cause of prostitution. We're not the cause of fentanyl, which are all leading causes in gang violence. We did not invite anybody over from a foreign country to set up training camps here in California and throughout the United States. We didn't invite anybody from a gang cartel to come in and ruin our cities and our infrastructure. We did none of that, but yet we get labeled that. And this is why I fight, and others like me fight this all the time in the Capitol. And, to take it a step further, here's the thing. While I have no love for Jamie Raskin, I will say that when he was speaking, he was at least doing it the classical way. You can see it. You have to be dumb not to see that, what he's doing. But then you can go look at Summer Lee out of the 12th Pennsylvania district during that same hearing, who layers her questions, Kevin. She's got like basic questions about Secret Service control to former Secret Service Director Cheadle. She had, hey, were you expecting something to go wrong? Would you admit something's gone wrong? Till she gets to the 7th question. And then that's when she says, do you believe that stricter controls on availability of assault weapons would have stopped this? And then, she goes for it. And then what do you have? You have Cheadle saying, not addressing, and this is what's key. She didn't address the assault weapon question. She answered with, I think any weapon makes it difficult for us to do our job. And therefore, the assumption is you need to get rid of all weapons. And this is the game that the far left plays, is they lay out, hidden in several questions, the question. She didn't really care about those others. Those other questions have been asked literally probably 20 times before she had her turn. Her question was the one that was number 7, which was, hey, do you believe that assault weapons are the problem? So she could get Cheadle to give her the answer she wanted. No, all weapons. Because this now gives her, in her mind, and those that support, the credibility to say, well, even the former director of the Secret Service said we were right. We need to get rid of all these weapons.
Yeah, which is kind of a silly proposition. You as, I guess, I guess you can technically put them in the category of a security agency, but you have law enforcement agencies who are failing, who are also making the argument that other people shouldn't be able to protect themselves with firearms as you're failing and as you're sitting in front of Congress being held accountable for failing. I think a lot of people are seeing it, which is driving a lot of fuel towards this election. I guess, Rick, what are your final thoughts? This is an election year, a lot of political posturing. Do you see this in the California legislature as well as Congress moving all the way to November?
Yeah, we're gonna see these fights. I'm anticipating when we start back up in August that I'm going to hear from this stuff. I mean, what we're looking at right now is the left is scrambling for everything they can to disarm us in every way possible. They're coming at us full force, and we have to start holding accountable. This hearing was not about gun control. The fact that they brought it in is appalling. This hearing was about what I think common everyday Americans realize. There are good men and women in the Secret Service and every other law enforcement agency. But when the top level of leadership has been corrupted, look, you're not going to go do what you need to do. If that means you're going to lose your retirement, you're going to lose your health care benefits and ability to pay for your family's basic needs. We all know that. And that's the choke point that we're seeing the corrupt government leaders, such as Director Cheadle, who had no qualifications to be in that job whatsoever when compared to former directors of the Secret Service.
Well, we are pushing towards that election, as we continue to say here in the state, as well as on the national platform. Those elections are our opportunity to get the wrong people out and the right people in, and we're going to continue pushing for that registration and education on the people who are running. Rick, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. Appreciate the insight.
Thank you.
And guys, if you like content like this and want to see more, if you want to get these notifications right when the videos come out, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so that you get the videos as they are uploaded. The algorithms are really pushing that like button, so if you want to do one of those, smash the like button today. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.